Hi everyone, welcome to Crafting with Cora. Today I want to show you how to slice an image in half and be able to create kind of like a monogram with a little bit of a fancier design. So I've chosen to do the kitchen utensils, so this is what we want the finished product to look like. So I've already created it, but I'm going to show you how you can do it. So you open up a new project, and I'm going to go into upload. So I've already found the images that I want to use to split. I just looked on Google for utensil silhouettes and I chose the one I liked. This one doesn't have to be an SVG since it's an outline of an item, and I did the same thing with my little squiggly here. So I'm going to select both of these as I'm going to need both to create my masterpiece. I'm going to shrink this one down and put it in the corner because we won't need it right away. So now I'm going to make these a little bit bigger. And what I want to do now is click on Shapes and Square, and we're going to split this image in half. So you always want to click the unlock. That allows to move left to right and up and down in whatever direction you want and however thick you want. So what we want to do now is we want to create a line, and we want to put it where we want the image to be cut in half. So let's say about here is where I want it cut. So now I already have this line selected, so I'm going to hold the control button on my keyboard. I'm going to click on my utensils. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click slice. So what this is going to do is it's going to cut my image in half. As you can see here, now there's two pieces. It's still a whole image, but there's that gap in the middle, which is going to make it easier to try to get rid of some pieces. So because I can't ungroup because it's a PNG and it's not an SVG file, what I want to do is I want to duplicate this image. So I'm going to take the top of this one here and the bottom of this one to make my utensil decoration. So now I'm going to go down here to contour, which allows me to take out parts of an image. So since I just want the bottom, I'm going to remove all of the top parts. And now I need the top parts from this one, so I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to remove the bottoms. So now I have the bottoms and the top. You can move the bottom over and try to line them up, but because of the thickness of the rectangle we put, the little line we put through earlier, that's why it's a little bit off. But that's okay because we don't want to line them up. We want to separate them so we can add a name in between. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fork, spoon, and knife tops, and I'm going to sit them on this line right here. And I'm going to make the fork go right in the middle of this guiding line here, so that's how I'm going to line up my bottom here. So I leave about 2 inches in between. And I'm going to move my bottom, try to align it as close as possible to the middle line here so that they're somewhat even. So now the next step is to go back into shapes, select the square again, and we want to create the line that goes under here to add these little squigglies on each end. So again, you have to unlock. Now at this point, this one is gray and this one is black, but don't worry, once we start attaching everything, they're all going to be the same color. So now I'm going to move it to the thickness that I want. So since this one's going to be a line that we're actually going to see, you want it a little bit thicker than the line we had earlier. I usually go about 1.5 inches on both sides. And then I thin it out a little bit. You want to see it, but you don't want that to be the main focus of your image. So because we want the line from the top and the bottom to be the same, we're going to duplicate it again. And we're going to bring it down to the utensils. So now, because we want this and this to move together and be one piece, we're going to select the 2 portions of the bottom, attach them together. So now you see the gray line has now become black because we want this to be one whole piece. We're going to do the same thing to the top. We're going to realign them on our 2-inch line. And now it's time to add these little squigglies. So you make it in the size that you want. I'm going to rotate them standing. And I'm going to put my little squiggly right here. So I find it's a little bit too small, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Oops. And I want it right about here. So in order to make sure that I have the same size, I'm going to duplicate it. But this is obviously not how I want it. I want to flip the other way. So I'm going to go up here in the flip, and I'm going to flip vertically. Now I'm going to duplicate it again. So now we want the same thing with this squiggly, but over here. So I'm going to duplicate it again. I'm going to drag it over to where I want. And now I need it to flip the other way. So I'm going to go back to my flip, flip horizontally, place it where I want it. And then I'm going to duplicate it again to create the one on top here and flip vertically. So now all my squigglies are the same size. And I'm using my little guidelines at the back to make sure that they're all aligned on the same line. So now what I want to do is I want to highlight the bottom portion again, because now if I decide to move this, the squigglies don't come with it. So I'm going to highlight the whole bottom and click Attach, and do the same thing here. Select all of the top and click Attach. And now these are moving as parts together, which also means that when I go to cut it, it's all going to cut as one piece. So the last step you have to do is add the name. So I'm going to add my last name. And I'm going to stretch it out to fit the whole thing. I don't really like this font, so I'm going to change it. And I'm going to make it this one here. So depending on the size you decide to use, you may have to shrink or make it bigger. So some people like it full like this. Others like it where the name is just kind of floating in the middle. It's totally up to you the way you like it. I prefer the big letters like this. So now all you have to do is click Save, name your project, and you can save it for future use. That's it for crafting with Cora. Thanks for checking out the video. Happy crafting!